Hi. Hi. I would like to call our meeting to order at 4:04 p.m. This meeting is open to the public, and we encourage and welcome members of the community to observe the meeting. Our first agenda topic 1.1, call to order and introductions. So before we begin the introductions, we need to be mindful of using a microphone. There's a second one by Melissa. When we speak, because our meeting is being recorded for public viewing. I'll start with the introductions. Welcome, I am Zuzana, Curriculum and Instruction Coordinator.
Hi, I'm Brittany Kolopanis. I'm a 5th grade teacher at Liberty.
Jackie Crane, a 3rd grade teacher at Liberty.
Denise Murphy, 4th grade teacher at Rainbow Valley.
Carrie Wilmot, 2nd grade teacher, Blue Horizons.
Melissa Soche, instructional coach at Blue Horizons.
Thank you. Our next agenda item 1.2, purpose and outcomes. Our purpose is to review the quality of supplemental materials and ensure that resources used for instruction meet district criteria. Our outcomes will be review criteria, score supplemental resources, determine resources for recommended for 60-day review. Let me define the supplementary instructional resources. They're instructional resources intended as a supplement to the primary instructional resources to enrich and enhance the learning. Teachers may choose from among a district-approved list to take into consideration student interests, learning styles, abilities, and maturity level to best meet the needs of students or student groups. Supplementary instructional resources may also serve to support gaps in curricular alignment of primary instructional resources. Moving along to agenda item 1.3, review of criteria for scoring. The committee will discuss the criteria used to score all supplemental materials. The scoring rubric was the same for all recommended supplemental resources. I will read each criteria quickly. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. So the number one was, and I'll just read this and then we'll reference the actual ones when we open a specific resource. Number one, is aligned to Arizona High academic learning standards. The options were does not meet expectations, meets expectations, hold on, exceeds expectations. The second question was research shows that the program or materials are evidence-based. So first option was does not meet expectations, does not provide research study data. B was meets expectations, research supports but may not be peer-reviewed or show evidence of significances. And C was exceeds expectations. Research study is peer-reviewed and shows significant effect size. So the third question was, is appropriate for the student for the subject area and for the age, emotional development, ability level, learning styles, and social development of students. A, does not meet expectations, meets expectations, exceeds expectations. Number 4, fills gaps in curriculum and or supports differentiation of learning for students so teachers can enrich, extend, remediate, or intervene. A was does not meet expectations, B meets expectations, C was exceeds expectations. Number 5, uses current relevant technology that further engages interactive learning and can be used in the classroom and beyond. Again, it was A, does not meet expectations, meets expectations, or exceeds expectations. And number 6, which is open for additional comments for committee to consider. Okay. We are moving on to our next item on our agenda, 1.4, discussion of discovery education. I am going to pull that up now. So we're just going to look at our responses. As you see here for number 1, question is aligned to Arizona High academic learning standards. When you look at the yellow is exceeds expectations. We have 42.9%. And then meets expectations was 57.1%. So we're just going first over the results and then making a decision. The second question was research shows that the program or materials are evidence-based. Again, we have both meets and exceeds. Exceeds expectations was 57.1 and meets again was 42.9. Okay, is appropriate for the subject area and for the age, emotional development, ability level, learning styles, and social development of students. We have very strong exceeds, 71.4%, and then meets was 28.6%. Next question was fills gaps in curriculum and or supports differentiation of learning for students so teachers can enrich, extend, remediate, or intervene. Again, we have 71.4 exceeds expectations and 28.6 meets. Next one was uses current relevant technology that further engages interactive learning and can be used in a classroom and beyond. We have exceeds at 85.7% and meets at 14.3%. And here's some additional comments. I'm going to read them out loud so you can, in case you can't see them. The first comment was, I'm a huge fan, huge capitalized, of mystery science. However, I'm wondering where we obtain hands-on resources for discoveries. In the past, I obtained the resources from the experiments and paid out of my pocket. I may be missing something here, though. So that. Good question. Yeah, absolutely. I'll go through these questions and I'll open it up for discussion if you would like to elaborate some more. The next comment here was, we need to make sure all teachers have access to this, especially to make sure that they have what they need to plan for science and social studies time. Next comment was, my students love discovery education. I love that it can be used for to further extend the knowledge my students have of a standard and give real life examples. And the last one was, my students enjoyed using the virtual field trips. It was very interactive. So just to clarify, Discovery Education is an ed tech platform that features a vast library of videos, virtual field trips, lesson plans, and other interactive teaching resources in topics ranging from STEM to ELA history. So now that we looked at the comments, I would like to open this up for a discussion, or any comments that you would like to explore. Just please use the microphone. Yes.
I think my comment would be, I have a hard time using the word supplemental when we don't have a science program to begin with. So when we're talking about these items, we have to keep in mind that we are all coming to the table developing our own curriculum because we do not have one. So my concern is that we'll be using, or some teachers will be using this as their primary. Okay. And so I just want that to go on record.
Yeah, and again, I to piggyback off what Carrie just said, we have used it. We used it last year in 3rd and 4th grade at Liberty. And it's great. It's teacher friendly. The kids enjoyed it, but we had to pay for the actual experiment items. And I just wondered, because we don't have a curriculum, to make it interactive. I understand the virtual field trips, but that's not hands-on per se. So I'm wondering how we figure that out with hands-on experiences, with experimenting and stuff like that. So.
You two took exactly what I was going to say, that it's not, what is it, supplementing. We don't have curriculum, and the same point, we did a lot last year, but we had to pay for a lot out of our pockets to do the experiments. But also, isn't it, somebody's comment was available for all teachers, isn't it available, Discovery Ed, for all teachers currently? Out of Clever?
Yes, it is, yes.
I was just curious on that comment. Yeah, I thought it was under there, but. You just want me to sing? Melissa, I think has one.
So the available for all teachers comment was from me, and that's because people who are new to the district, like, it was never mentioned to any of them unless somebody was in their building that knew about it. And Blue, we have a lot of brand new teachers. So a lot of people had no idea that this was even an option to use for teaching science and social studies. Yeah. But and that's where the comment came from, making sure everybody knows that it's there. So even though it is supplemental, I use that with very loose quotation marks. But if I don't know that it's there to use, I can't even use it. Like, I don't know what it's even there for. So I think that that's kind of the piece that it was missing also.
Well, this is all important information as we're looking at the, deciding if this is a resource that we are going to present for the 60-day review. Also, part of that is to understand we are going to review, if we choose this resource, where it has to go through a 60-day review. So one of the reasons why it wasn't so publicized is because it wasn't a resource that went through the 60-day review yet.
And then with the big hype or trends or whatever you want to call it on the 5E model, I'm thinking that needs to be part of the actual curriculum, the 5E model and I think people know about it, you've heard about it, but I'm not sure like the teachers know even what that stands for. So I think we definitely need some professional development.
Absolutely. Okay, so we are going to move on to the next resource and just go over the results again, and then you open it up for comments. Once we go through all 4 resources, we'll decide which ones actually are the ones that should be continuing now through the 60-day review. So our next agenda item is 1.5 discussion of studies weekly. I'm going to open that one up. Let me just give you a little overview. So the resource consists of a student-friendly core social studies curriculum organized thematically to the strands of civics and government, geography, economics, and history. It offers spiraled and scaffolded interactive learning that is research-based and aligned to standards. The primary use of this resource would be for social studies units. So we'll just go through the results again. So the first question was, is aligned to to Arizona high academic standards? We have both meets and exceeds. Meets is 85.7%, exceeds is 14.3%. Next one, research shows that the program or materials are evidence-based. Again, meets and exceeds. Meets 71.4%, 28.6% is exceeds. Next question was, is appropriate for the subject area and for the age, emotional development, ability level, learning styles, and social development of students, meets and exceeds. We have 85.7 meets and 14.3 exceeds. Next one was fills gaps in curriculum and or supports differentiation of learning for students so teachers can enrich, extend, remediate, or intervene. We have both meets and exceeds. Meets was 85.7% and exceeds was 14.3%. Next question was, is this current relevant technology that further engages interactive learning and can be used in a classroom and beyond? We have both meets and exceeds. 71.4% meets and 28.6% exceeds. And then here are the additional comments. So the first comment is, while at Liberty, my team used the paper version. Here's what I really liked. How the content keeps us on track and it was easy to follow. How the kids could highlight and annotate right on the text. How the lesson plans as they were teacher friendly. Implementing Kagan structures while using it. How we could integrate ELA and social studies, text features, text structures, etc. The engaging photos and text features. The graphic organizers, how these are not textbooks. Lexals are mentioned in the teacher editions. The articles and daily lessons are chucked for the teachers. Chunked. That's okay. For the teachers. It was surprising. So it's not a ton of info all at once. We'll be getting the integrated program where we have, Okay, will we be getting the, okay, the integrated program where we both have magazines and the online materials? So that was one comment. Next one was, this is great that it works for science and social studies. This makes it easier for teachers. This can be done in any order, so it will fit our pacing guides. I like that the materials also support reading nonfiction text. Another comment said, from what I can tell, it is high rigor and allows for cross-curricular projects based on the articles. Would be a great way to integrate science and social studies with ELA. And then the last one was also about integration. It can be integrated with ELA. Looks very standard aligned, high interest for students. So we went through all the comments. I'm going to open this up again for any comments or discussions or questions.
I really like this because it had the physical resources. I feel that we put our kids on the computers way too often every day. We're not interacting with text. We're not being able to highlight. We're being required to use them for a certain amount of time every day or so many lessons in a week. And to me, this is more friendly for the kids rather than staring at a computer screen all day long.
Yeah, when we used it, we just had the paper version, and I'm wondering a couple things. I think the first one is, would we be able to get the digital and the paper together? Because I saw that it was an option. I just didn't know if the district would go that route. I'm thinking that would be a way better option for our kids. I really want the paper I think that's just exactly what Carrie said. And the other thing is, people are saying it integrates science, but that's a separate purchase, is it not? The Science Weekly is different from, it's a separate are we doing that if we decide studies? Is it going to be for both our science supplement and social studies, or just one?
I think the focus was on social studies, but it's something to take into consideration. Also, when you think about what is going to be purchased by the district, just consider supplemental may not necessarily be a district purchase. It's more just allowing the flexibility to use that in your classroom if you choose to. So
Yeah, I just didn't know if we'd have the option to use it and if we would be provided with the science articles. That's what I was wondering.
mm-hmm.
So then if this is a supplemental resource, I'm assuming then we would not get the paper. We would be using it as an online resource only.
I honestly don't have an answer for that right now. So this is a great point that you are making, and it's definitely something to consider, and it's definitely recorded and taken into consideration,
Okay. Thank you.
if that's something of a concern.
So at my last district, we had Studies Weekly, and we had it both digitally and the paper versions on it. And one of the things that I really liked is that it's really easy as a teacher that I can shuffle around what unit I want to do. So if I don't want to introduce the types of government before I've taught how we became a nation, I can shuffle those around and I can lock them so students can't see them. But it's really nice too, like if I have a student who's out ill for 3 or 4 days, you can assign them informational text to read on the computer. It reads it to them, so it actually eliminates some of the issues for your EL kids and your special education students and things like that. The paper versions are really nice though too. They have like phenomenal graphic organizers that go with this program that like are just absolutely interactive. The kids can, when you print them out and everything, they're really, really useful. And they had just started the science thing, and they actually developed the Arizona one specifically to our standards 2 years ago. So like when we came out with our new standards, because up until that point we didn't have really any Arizona social studies standards that were newer. But I think it's a resource that we should definitely look at as far as getting in at least some of them into the classroom, even if it's because the hands-on piece was the crucial piece, because then it's like them highlighting and underlining and annotating and looking at all those things. And some of the articles that are in the paper version are not online. And some of the parts that are online are not in paper, so that way you have like ways to utilize both parts.
No, this is great information to consider. So thank you for sharing it. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, can we move on? Okay. We're moving to agenda item 6, discussion of Legends of Learning. Legends of Learning offers more than 2,000 math and science games and simulations for grades K through 8 across 350 or more learning objectives. Elementary and middle school teachers can find a game for every lesson. Our games, so this is their definition, our games are specifically designed from national and state standards to support lesson plans. The primary use of this resource will be science and math. I'm going to pull up the results. So for the first question, we have is aligned to Arizona High Academic Learning Standards. We have 85.7 meeting the expectations and 14.3 does not meet expectations. Second question was research shows that the program or materials are evidence-based. We have 85.7 meeting the expectations and 14.3 does not meet expectations, does not provide research study data. Third question was, is appropriate for the subject area and for the age, emotional development, ability level, learning styles, and social development of students. Meeting expectations is 71.4%, exceeding is 14.3%, and not meeting is 14.3% as well. Next question was, fills gaps in curriculum and or supports differentiation of learning for students so teachers can enrich, extend, remediate, or intervene. Meeting expectations was 57.1%, exceeding was 28.6%, and not meeting expectation was 14.3%. Uses current relevant technology that further engages interactive learning and can be used in the classroom and beyond. We have meeting expectations at 57.1%, exceeding at 28.6%, and not meeting expectations at 14.3%. And just like before, we have some comments here. So I'll read the comments and then we'll open this up for discussion. First comment was, I am conflicted. While I understand that today's generation are motivated by games, do I really want more games, more game time while in school? It seems I need to sign my class up first before I could demo a game myself. Maybe I'm just confused. Second comment was just focuses on math and science. Third comment was, I do believe this is a very high rigor game. I do think that it meets the appropriate age with the games. However, I'm not sure if all parents would be okay with the reproduction comments on games, and some games would need to be vetted by teachers before introducing to students. And the last comment was, it appears that the games and lessons need to be previewed or vetted by the teachers. Some of the games may not be appropriate for all students. So anybody would like to comment on this, or this? I'm opening this up.
I think I was probably the blue in this one. Again, because I feel like we put our kids on the computers way too much. And I feel like they're already gaming at home and gaming on the weekends and gaming with each other after school, that when they're in school, they need to be learning and they need to be doing deep learning. And to me, games do not provide deep learning. And so I believe I was the person who did not agree with any of this.
So I did go through it, but I was frustrated in the sense, and I know, like, as I reread and edit my own grammar, I'm sorry, because I went way too fast, and I thought I reread things, so it doesn't make sense. But what I meant to say was, it seems I needed to sign my class up first before I could even demo the game myself, and it would make me make an account. And so I wanted to try it, but for me just to go in and see, and then one of the games I couldn't even understand how to do it. So for me, maybe that's because my own ability of game playing is very limited. I was frustrated as a teacher, and I didn't want to have to spend all that time to figure it out. The kids could probably teach me, but I'm just saying. So yeah, again, they're on Dreambox. That's a district mandate, and my kids, especially at Rainbow, need to do more than 5 a week to be on track. So that's a lot of screen time, not to mention it is a lot of what they are doing at home. I'd rather see them using something with paper and text. Yeah.
Jackie and I were able to get into the games. We played 2 of them. They're super high rigor. Like, I was impressed by how deep it goes into the science. Mine is the second to last one. It's high rigor. The only thing is in the 5th grade, it's a lot of genetics and a lot of like adaptations. So the only thing we saw was just based off of our current curricular standards. We weren't sure how it would go over with some of them, but for a game, I was impressed with the level of science that it goes into as a science person, but I totally understand with it being a game. I mean, it's still a game, but I was impressed by the level of science. It did have a pretty decent amount.
Yeah, and again, if it's supplemental, I get that. Like, that's a great fun supplement. It's like an extension of a unit, right? But again, we don't have curriculum.
Yes, please.
Sorry. I said, because we don't have curriculum, this would not be good as your core curriculum, but as an extension, the games are great for that purpose. But you do have to go through each game,
Sure.
which is very time consuming, and make sure it is actually appropriate.
Sure. Well, that's something to consider when we're making a decision about the review.
I think the other piece about it is too, is that like when I was looking at it, like it was, the high rigor, but the piece that got me is the fact that as a teacher, do I have the time to dig into thousands of games to figure out which one I want to supplement with when there are 10 other things that are far more pressing that I could be doing that will take me less time to research, because I'm not as game savvy as my students are, and I'm not going to have them sort through it because we all know which ones would find what. And so I feel like it's just one more thing, and it will end up being just one more thing. Oh, now I have to do this, and now I have to do that. And so I don't feel like it was as robust of a resource as the Discovery or the Studies Weekly. This one, I felt like it was like, oh, one more thing versus the other way around.
Thank you. Well, let's move on to agenda item number 1.7, discussion of defined learning. That is the last supplemental resource that we'll be looking at more closely. Defined learning helps K-12 teachers engage students in deeper learning through project-based learning. They provide the essential project design elements teachers need, standard-based performance tasks, career videos, editable rubrics, and more. Defined learning creates excitement about STEM career opportunities and encourages students to be more proficient in these subjects, providing a pathway to a promising future. The primary use of this resource will be in STEM. Now let's go through the results. So the first question again was, is aligned to Arizona High Academic Learning Standards? We have meeting expectations at 71.4% and 28.6% exceed expectations. Research shows that the program or materials are evidence-based. We have 57.1 meeting expectations and 42.9 exceeding expectations. Is appropriate for the subject area and for the age, emotional development, ability level, learning styles, and social development of students. We have 71.4 exceeding expectations and 28.6 meeting expectations. Fills gaps in curriculum and or supports differentiation of learning for students so teachers can enrich, extend, remediate, or intervene. 71.4 exceeding expectations and 28.6% meeting expectations. Uses current relevant technology that further engages interactive learning and can be used in a classroom and beyond. Again, we have 71.4 exceeding expectations and 28.6 meeting expectations. And here are some comments provided. First one was, while project-based learning is an amazing way to implement studies, it seems we would need an extensive amount of teacher support to move our district in this direction. All need to be on board with such a program. We need buy-in from by all. Second comment was, this is useful for project science and career field experiences. It is helpful for vertical alignment as well. Another comment was, from the lesson, I was able to see it looks very engaging for students. They're using real life problems and real life skills to solve them. It was easy to follow the PBL, and it appeared all the tools and steps were laid out nicely for the teacher and student. Another comment was, I love the hands-on project-based learning. For example, lesson plan was not only allows multiple sources for the students to research with, it has rubrics for each part of the lesson. The product the students are to create and the process with which they do this allows students to learn more how to do something that we use in middle school, high school, and in their own careers down the road. So these are the comments. So again, I'm opening it up for further discussion, comments.
I actually use this because it is for our career exploration, which is our signature program. So we actually use this as part of our resource at our school. And I plan on implementing PBL this next year. And so I've actually developed my lessons around this for first trimester of next year. So I love it. It's very engaging. It ties into all of our pacing guides. The tasks can be extended so that it can be an actual trimester-long project. And it's community based, so you're actually giving back to your community as well if you implement it that way.
Yeah, I personally like project-based learning. I did it a lot when we had the Arizona Science Studies with their science curriculum. But it is a piece where, as a teacher, you need to know how to implement project-based learning. It's not something you just go and do. So I think while I like it, I could totally do it. I just wonder about especially all our newbies with all the stuff that they have to learn as well. So.
And just for the record, I am a project manager, so I do know how to do projects.
Thank you. Okay, so now it's time to make the big decisions. So this is agenda item 1.8, recommendations for governing board to consider approval for the 60-day public review. The committee will discuss and determine whether or not to recommend Discovery Education, Studies Weekly, Legends of Learning, and Define Learning for governing board approval for 60-day public review. So first up is Discovery Education. Thumbs up for yes if you recommend for governing board, and thumbs to the side if you can live with that, and thumbs down if you do not recommend. 6 thumbs up, recommended. That was easy. Okay, Studies Weekly, do you recommend? Thumbs up, yes. Okay, so this was easy. I don't even need to go through this. So we have 6 thumbs up as well. Legends of Learning, thumbs up, yes. Thumbs in the middle, thumbs down if you don't. So we have 1, 2, 3 thumbs down. 3, you can live with that. Okay, so we'll record this. So it's split exactly. So all of them can be recommended. Yes, for the review. For the 60-day review. If somebody is willing to be a tiebreaker, yes, please.
Use it as an extension or be mandated to use it. That's my question. But it's a supplement.
It's a supplement. So is Dreambox. Yes, but we still have to do it. But we still have to do it.
Just to clarify, this Dreambox is the district expectation. These supplemental resources for the review are at this point not considered part of any district expectation to use. We'll consider all these other comments and think if we can re-vote.
Amanda, she had anything. Because maybe her vote might, you know. Can we ask her vote?
I mean, not us, but could you ask her vote? Because maybe she will be the tiebreaker.
Or just you might not.
She'd call her on the phone.
I do not have her number.
Can we call her?
Because she
Sure. If she answers,
Oh, Amanda, your mother. I'm like, it's your mama.
call your mom, please. Let's get the answer.
She'll probably be. I could totally live with it as a supplement, but I would really like to, what we need to do, I think, is just frankly forced to use something that I don't want to.
It's a supplemental resource, so you're not going to be forced to use that. We need to approve it if it's used in anybody's classroom.
no want, don't care, want, or you're not sure, or you don't down.
Can I call her on the thing so it goes through the system?
Yes.
Here, microphone.
You're on speakerphone.
Who are the experts, the math experts on this? Because I was on the fence.
We're science, it's science.
So we just need you to vote yes on the fence,
Can live with it.
can live with it, or no.
So some of our comments, okay, some of our comments were that it was difficult to use. We had to, as a teacher, we had to go in and figure out if the games were appropriate for the grade level or not. And it was game-based, and so some of us felt that they're already having gaming enough at home on the weekends. And then others thought that the rigor was good. So that helped me
And
make
the others thought what? What was the pros?
the pros were that it was rigorous, and what else did you say?
Extension of learning and rigor were the pros.
So is it just available? Nobody's going to be required to use it, right?
Correct. It's supplemental.
Okay. Supplemental. So yeah, I can live with it if teachers have a choice.
You're so
Yeah.
lucky.
Okay, Amanda's answer is can live with it. You can live with it.
Is that your final answer, can live with it?
Your final
Yeah,
answer is you
So
can-
what?
Your final answer.
I can live with it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
So that was our tiebreaker here. So
And I think parents have to review it too, so if they don't want their kids being in it, they'll speak out.
correct. So we have one last, and that is defined learning. So again, if you recommend, thumbs up. If you can live with that, in the middle, thumbs down if you do not recommend. Can we vote? Okay. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 thumbs up, yes, and 2, I can live with that. So that would be also recommended then. So lastly, agenda item is 1.9, adjournment of the meeting. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to participate in our supplemental committee. We are going to adjourn the meeting at 4:43 p.m. Have a great day.